This is interesting from yesterday's ABC Australia, that's the Australian ABC, the Australian ABC News, 16th of November 2013. It's all about an horrific child sex abuse ring. 66 Australians arrested as Canadian police smash horrific child sex abuse ring. Child sex abuse, it's horrific, isn't it? 66 Australians are among more than 300 people arrested after Canadian authorities smashed what they say is one of the worst child sex abuse rings they have seen. Doctors and priests. I won't read the whole article, I'll just read out salient points. Doctors and priests are among those that are arrested. I'm interested because doctors and priests are among those involved in male genital mutilation, aren't they? One of the worst child sex abuse rings they have seen. A total of 368 victims of the ring were rescued from harm worldwide, including 6 in Australia. So 6 child victims were rescued from harm worldwide. That's interesting because in Australia, yesterday, there would have been more than 6 male victims being genitally mutilated. Wouldn't there? There would have been. It is alleged that officers located hundreds of thousands of images detailing horrific acts against young children, some of the worst they have ever viewed. That's according to the Toronto Police. If you go on YouTube, you can watch horrific images of little boys being genitally mutilated. Excuse me. Of course, there are also horrific images on YouTube of little girls being genitally mutilated. But in theory, little girls are protected by law. So are animals protected by law. You can't circumcise a dog or a cat in Australia. You can't. But if you go onto YouTube, there are always more explicit videos of little boys being genitally mutilated. If you compare the explicitness of male genital mutilation videos on YouTube with those of little girls on YouTube, the ones of little boys are always far more explicit. The worst they have ever viewed. Those charged facing a combined 399 charges of child exploitation offences. Sex crimes. Sex crimes. In Australia, male genital mutilation isn't considered a sex crime. If you genitally mutilate a female, if you just put the merest pinprick on a little girl's clitoral hood, that will send you to jail, and you'll also be put on the sex crimes register. If you pinprick a little girl, pin rape or needle rape her, the sex crimes squad will be called out, and you will be made a sex criminal. If you circumcise, for non-medical reasons, an animal in Australia, you will be prosecuted. You will be. But do it to a little boy, and it's okay. You can do it on YouTube. You can. Accessing, possessing, producing and distributing online child exploitation material. As I said, if you look at male genital mutilation videos on YouTube, they're far more explicit than female ones. I've seen a woman on YouTube stuffing a handkerchief or a rag, a scarf or something. She stuffed a scarf into a little boy's mouth to stop him screaming. She did. Every image is a crime. Every image is a crime scene, says Australian Federal Police's cybercrime boss. Cybercrime, so viewing pornographic child images online is a cybercrime, apparently. But you can go to YouTube and watch a little boy's genitals being sliced up. Now that I think about it, I think I'd prefer to have had my genitals photographed without my permission, rather than have my genitals mutilated, as I have had done. My genitals have been mutilated without my permission. But if I think about it, I think that I'd rather be photographed without my permission than be genitally mutilated without my permission. It's appalling. We're expecting more charges to be laid. They're expecting more charges to be laid. Every child exploitation image found in the operation was a crime scene. It was a crime scene. But you can go onto YouTube and watch little boys getting their penises sliced up. Perfectly legal. It's legal in Australia. Every piece of material is child sexual abuse. And those who seek to access, produce and deal in such images are just as complicit in that abuse as the persons orchestrating the production of such material. That's interesting. Complicit in that abuse. Who's complicit in the abuse when YouTube Australia shows little boys having their genitals mutilated? Well, I suppose YouTube is complicit, aren't they? I mean, YouTube is involved in the distribution of images of little boys getting their penises sliced up legally. It's legal in Australia, of course. Yes. Who else is complicit in that abuse? The Federal Sex Discrimination Commissioner, Lizzie Broderick. She won't utter a word in defence of little boys' genital integrity. It's all on YouTube. You can watch little boys having their penises sliced up on YouTube in quite great detail too. You can see urine flowing out. You can see needles being poked in. You can see blood coming out. You can see the blade cutting. You can see the baby's discomfort. You can hear the little boy's screams. It's all on YouTube. It's all perfectly legal. It's, what would you call it? A violent sexual assault, a knife rape on a little boy. And it's all on YouTube, and you can watch it in great detail. You can see, as I said, a mother stuffing a handkerchief in a little boy's mouth to silence yes, that's not sex abuse. That's not sex abuse, is it? No, that's not disgusting photography, is it? It's not. A powerful demonstration of what can and will continue to be achieved by law enforcement on a global scale to combat child sexual exploitation, protect our children and bring offenders to justice. What little boy has Lizzie Broderick, the Sex Discrimination Commissioner, ever protected? Has she ever spoken up one word in defence of a little boy's genital integrity? I don't think so. They'll probably make her Governor General a few years down the track, like they did with Quentin Bryce, a former Sex Discrimination Commissioner. Did Quentin Bryce ever utter one word in defence of male genital integrity when she was Sex Discrimination Commissioner? I don't think so. To bring these offenders to justice, to bring these offenders, these are people who viewed and disseminated naughty pictures of children, underage pictures of children, child pornography in other words. I call putting images, explicit images of male genital mutilation on YouTube, child sexual exploitation. It's violence against a child. It's appalling. It is quite appalling. To bring these offenders to justice. If you choose to view and circulate child abuse images, you will be investigated, pursued and charged, regardless of where you are located. Well, I've turned on YouTube and I have seen little boys being genitally mutilated. I have. I saw those child abuse images and it was perfectly legal to watch them. It is legal in Australia to watch. Well, it's legal to do a male genital mutilation. It is. Pursued and charged regardless of where you are located. I don't think anyone is going to pursue and charge me for having looked at a male genital mutilation on YouTube. I haven't heard Lizzie Broderick do anything to defend a little boy. She's the Sex Discrimination Commissioner. She'll speak up for a female genital integrity. A website that sold and distributed child exploitation. As I've said, you can watch a child being, genitally mutilated on YouTube. A little boy being genitally mutilated. The man involved now faces charges of making, possessing, distributing and exporting child exploitation, featuring explicit images of boys ranging in range from toddlers to teens. I've seen ages from infants to teens being genitally mutilated on YouTube. I've seen older boys struggling and being held down, and as I was being gagged, I heard their genitals cut up. Child Abuse Image Network uncovered. How shocking. Prompting investigations by authorities globally. What authority has Elizabeth Broderick, the Sex Discrimination Commissioner, I wonder? There was Julia Gillard, wasn't there, a few months back? She threw some money at protecting little girls' genital integrity, didn't speak up for one little boy's genital integrity, didn't throw a cent at a little boy's genital integrity, knowing full well that it's illegal to slice up a girl in Australia. There's fair warning to offenders that if you are using the internet, if you are abusing children, if you are accessing child exploitation material, we will come and find you and we will prosecute you. As I say, go to YouTube, type in male circumcision, and you can see a whole range of infants being genitally mutilated. YouTube knows they're up there. YouTube Australia knows those images are up there. They're quite detailed. They're quite explicit. As I said, there are female genital mutilation images on YouTube too, but they're not as explicit as male genital mutilation images. You can see male genital mutilation in all its gory glory, yes. And you can see it in quite detail. It is a violent act, it's a monstrous act, it's a barbaric act upon a child. I've had it done to me. You can see it on YouTube in great detail. It's free to watch, anyone can watch it, it's videotape, it goes all around the world. The Sex Discrimination Commissioner, Elizabeth Broderick, won't utter one word in defence of a little boy. She will never speak out against male genital mutilation or the fact that there's imagery of male genital mutilation going out all over the internet on YouTube Australia. National and international cooperation among law enforcement. There is no greater responsibility for those of us who have sworn to serve and protect than the protection of our children. What little boy did Eliza Broderick protect as Sex Discrimination Commissioner? It makes you wonder, doesn't it? She's a mother, apparently, of a son too. There is no greater responsibility for those of us who have sworn to serve and protect than the protection of our children. Eliza Broderick knows that little boys are mutilated in Australia. She knows that little girls are protected by law. She knows that animals are protected by law. You can't just go out and circumcise a cat or a dog, you can't. Australia's Justice Minister, Michael Keenan, also congratulated federal and state police for their work. He would know too that little boys are genitally mutilated and it's put up on YouTube. The little boys are screaming. He would know that. This is a fantastic result for law enforcement across the country, with Australian police bringing numerous offenders to account and removing 6 children from harm. How many little boys were done across Australia yesterday? Probably more than 6. The exploitation of our most vulnerable members of society cannot be tolerated. To prey on and exploit children is a horrific crime, and those offenders must be brought to justice. To prey on. I've been preyed on. Children are being preyed on legally. Little boys are still being preyed on. They're being knife raped in Australia, and it's perfectly legal. There's a whole industry out of it. There's a whole medical industry involved in male genital mutilation. The most vulnerable members of society. Yes, I would have thought that Elizabeth Broderick would stand up for the most vulnerable members of society, but she'll only stand up for the female ones. She won't stand up for the most vulnerable male members of society. She's deaf to the screams of little boys, isn't she? She is. Leading child protection. Here's another hypocrite. I've called Elizabeth Broderick a hypocrite. Here's another little hypocrite. Leading child protection advocate Braveheart. Leading child protection advocate Braveheart has also praised the work of police. Right across Australia we have an amazing police force, and we need the technology to catch up with these criminals, founder Hetty Johnston said. I asked Hetty Johnston what she thought. Well, she talks about inappropriate touching on her YouTube videos. She says, this is right touching, this is wrong touching. I asked Hetty Johnston what she thought of male genital mutilation. I said, was that appropriate touching? And she didn't answer me. I didn't think Hetty Johnston would answer me. I knew she wouldn't answer me. She has her own agenda. She's not going to speak out against male genital mutilation either, is she? Brave hearts. brave hearts. As far as I'm concerned, Hetty Johnston is another hypocrite. She wouldn't even speak up. She wouldn't even speak out against male genital mutilation, and she's supposedly the founder of a leading child protection advocate, Brave Hearts. What has Hetty Johnston done to stop a little boy from being genitally mutilated? I think Hetty Johnston, too, is deaf to the screams of little boys being genitally mutilated. Where were you, Hetty, when I was being genitally mutilated? Yes, you can't put an animal being circumcised on YouTube for kicks. You'd be a medically unjustified video of a cat or dog being circumcised. You can't just put that on YouTube. The RSPCA would be called. You might go to jail. Now that I think about it, I'd prefer to have been illegally photographed as a child than to have had my penis mutilated. That's a far lesser evil. Maybe we should start hiding all the cherubs in gardens, hiding all the bird baths, hiding all the fountains, because to look at a little nude child is a thought crime. But it's okay to genitally mutilate a little boy and put it up on YouTube. See ya.